What's up everyone and welcome back to the MMA Zone. Today, let's get started with Dana White lied to UFC media about Leon Edwards. UFC CEO Dana White indicated recently that the UFC offered welterweight champion Leon Edwards 3 fights for the historic UFC 300 card, all of which he accepted. The 3 fights offered were reportedly Islam Makhachev, Shavkat Rakhmonov, and Khamzat Chimaev, with the situation capturing the attention of fans as many question why Belal Muhammad wasn't one of the opponents offered. According to the streaking contender himself, he doesn't believe the story to be accurate. Speaking on a recent episode of SiriusXM's MMA Today show, he weighed in.
Man, if I'm gonna be honest, I don't really buy the whole they offered him 3 fights. Like, I know they offered it to Islam. I know that Islam turned it down, but I don't buy they offered it to Shavkat because Shavkat was hurt, and I don't buy that they offered it to Khamzat because he ain't making weight. So for me, I think it was more so to hype up the Leon. But if they really wanted him on 300, they wanted Leon Edwards on 300, they knew they could have called me and I would have said yes. So it just tells me that they didn't really want him on 300 or...
With reports indicating Edwards was offered 3 other opponents, there's been quite a bit of speculation as to whether or not the streaking contender is in fact the #1 contender. With things up in the air, it'll be interesting to see how things play out in the welterweight division as we head into summer. The MMA community is concerned for Conor McGregor's health after a recent video surfaced on Twitter of an interview he had for his new movie Roadhouse alongside Jake Gyllenhaal. In the clip, you can allegedly see Conor spasming out and blinking uncontrollably while trying to put sentences together. Some fans are speculating that this is edited and fake, so let us know what you think in the comments below. Here's what the MMA community had to say. "This is very sad to see. Always wish the best for Conor for the years of entertainment he gave us. I think that's hangover twitches, but yes, he could have been doing coke last night. His body fighting for its life right now, LMAO. This is not normal nor good. For such a talented fighter like him, I hope he got crossover these things. Will he even be able to pass the physical to be able to fight in just a few months? I personally am worried. There was a time when McGregor was the most exciting fighter in combat sports, winning for fun, fire on the microphone, a couple of losses, and injury setbacks, and half of Colombia have ruined that legacy. He's a shadow of his former self. Shame. So sad that Conor McGregor turned into not only a roid head, but also a junkie. Can't believe I once looked up to that man. He looks no different from the junkies you see tweaking in the streets." Next up, let's take a look at Robert Whittaker versus Sean Strickland next. Robert Whittaker is fresh off an exciting win over Paulo Costa, which returned him to the win column following his loss to Dricus du Plessis. With momentum behind him, Whittaker is eager to return to action and compete in a title eliminator sooner rather than later. At the same time, there's been quite a bit of debate surrounding the middleweight title picture. While there's been talk of du Plessis and Israel Adesanya finally competing inside the octagon, Sean Strickland has also been making his case for a rematch with DDP. For his part, the champ has indicated that even though he wants to fight Israel Adesanya, at the end of the day, he'll fight whoever the UFC puts in front of him. During a recent episode of his MMA Arcade podcast, Robert Whittaker opened up on the middleweight title picture, explaining that he wants to fight Sean Strickland, while also saying du Plessis should call him out for a rematch after his latest win.
Who do you think Dricus should be fighting next?
Me.
It's hard.
Call me out your bum. I can see them making that Izzy fight because of the bad blood between them, because of South Africa. And I can't really see UFC getting behind Strickland again.
No.
I don't think they loved him as a champ to begin with, so I don't think they're really gunning for that rematch.
He's a hard person to promote and get in an interview.
I don't know. I'm kind of hoping Dricus gets Izzy in a sense, just so that I can fight Strickland, right?
From the sounds of things, with Whittaker fresh off a win over Costa, Sean Strickland in search of a rematch, and Israel Adesanya eager to settle his beef with Dricus du Plessis, the UFC has some tough decisions to make. Next, let's take a look at Colby Covington goes off on Sean Strickland. Although Colby Covington and Ian Gary have been involved in a heated back and forth as of late, a fight between the two seems unlikely to happen. As the former interim welterweight champion has indicated, if Gary wants to fight him, then he has to comply with 3 demands. In the meantime, Covington took aim at former middleweight champion Sean Strickland after the former middleweight champ ripped embattled influencer Andrew Tate, labeling him a con artist and a quote, piece of.
Yeah, you know, he was a washout in my division. He couldn't handle it in my division. He got beat up, knocked out, you know, so he had to leave divisions because he couldn't cut it. So, you know, I think he's a bum. He's been hit in the head too many times. He's got CTE, so.
Straight up.
Yeah, straight up. Anything that guy says, you can't follow along. That guy's going to end up literally probably killing someone someday. He's under investigation right now in Vegas. Some drunk guy was wandering the streets in Las Vegas, like near his home. He goes outside the home, pistol whips the dude in the middle of the street. And so he's under like crazy investigation in Vegas right now. He's going to be going to court. So
far, Strickland has yet to respond. However, given how often he posts to social media, expect a reply from the former champ in one of his signature videos from the car. Now, let's shift gears and take a look at UFC Fight Updates. Heading into this weekend's Hebus vs. Namajunas card at the UFC Apex, let's take a look at some UFC Fight Updates, starting with 3 new additions to the UFC Vegas 91 card on April 27th. According to reports, the event will play host to a light heavyweight bout between Ryan Spann and Bogdan Guskov, which will see Spann look to snap a 2-fight skid that most recently saw him drop a split decision to Anthony Smith in their highly anticipated rematch. On the flip side, Guskov will be looking to build on a first-round win over Zach Pauga back in February, which marked his first win under the UFC banner. The card will also see Marnik Mann fight Ketlin Souza in a women's flyweight bout that will see Souza look to pick up her first promotional win after losing to Karen Silva back in June, while on the flip side, Mann will be looking to bounce back from a loss of her own back in September. Last but certainly not least for the card, Uros Medic has announced via Instagram that he'll be fighting Tim Means in a welterweight bout. Medic will be looking to bounce back from a loss back in November, while on the flip side, Means will be looking to build momentum on a September victory over Andre Fialho, which snapped a 3-fight skid. Wrapping up our UFC Fight Update section, we have a flyweight bout added to the June 15th card in Las Vegas, with Alex Perez set to compete against Tagir Ulanbekov. The bout will see Perez look to snap a 3-fight skid that most recently saw him defeated by Muhammad Mokaev, while on the flip side, Ulanbekov will be looking to build momentum on a 2-fight win streak. Next, let's take a look at Dana White breaks silence on Conor McGregor return. Conor McGregor recently announced that he would be returning to the octagon this summer at the premiere of the Roadhouse film with Jake Gyllenhaal. In an interview that appears to be filmed that same day, UFC CEO Dana White guest starred on Kamaru Usman and Henry Cejudo's Pound for Pound podcast, where he opened up on a number of topics. At one point during the episode, White broke his silence on the ongoing speculation surrounding the Irish star's return after his New Year's announcement of a fight with Michael Chandler in June.
No lack of communication, not at all. You know where Conor is tonight?
probably at a bar.
No. He's in New York City for the premiere of Roadhouse.
Of course.
He has obligations right now to promote this movie. He has obligations to this movie. He can't do both. So once this movie launches, which is Thursday, this thing launches Thursday the 21st, and boom. I don't know what his obligations are once it launches. Then Conor can get back in the gym and start training. So like full time, like getting ready for a camp.
With Thursday's date given by White now behind us, there's no telling what's happening behind the scenes. Although White didn't specifically name drop Michael Chandler, the expectation is that the two Ultimate Fighter coaches will finally have a chance to share the octagon sometime this year. Next, let's take a look at Ronda Rousey reveals sad news about UFC career. Former women's bantamweight champion Ronda Rousey is currently preparing to celebrate the release of her memoir, Our Fight, releasing on April 2nd. The book has continued to generate interest among both the MMA and WWE communities, with fans eager to hear the former champ's story from her perspective. During a recent Instagram Live promoting the book, Rousey dropped some shocking news, indicating that she retired as a result of adverse effects from concussions stemming from her days as a judoka. As she indicated, not only was she dealing with concussions, but she also had to keep them a secret.
My concussion history that I had to keep secret for years so that I would be able to continue to compete and perform, and is basically why I had to retire. And so much had to do with, having so many concussions when I was in judo before I even got into MMA. I couldn't talk about it at all when I was doing MMA because it would basically literally put a target on my head, and I might not have been allowed to compete any farther.
As the former champ also indicated, the problem continued within the WWE. However, she explained that with the company's, quote, complicated history, With performers getting concussions, she felt as though she couldn't talk about the situation. Given the fact that she retired due to concussion problems, it sounds as though Rousey's fighting days are over, even if she won't officially label herself as retired. Next up, let's take a look at UFC fighters suspended for using PEDs. Shocking news emerged this week indicating that UFC heavyweight Walt Harris had been handed a 4-year suspension for using performance-enhancing drugs. The heavyweight veteran failed a series of tests between June 24th and July 12th for drostanolone and testosterone of exogenous origin, according to MMA Junkie, with Harris then testing positive for another substance during an August 6th test. As a result, he now becomes the first fighter to be suspended in the combat sports anti-doping era after the UFC parted ways with USADA. As Mike Bond wrote, Harris turns 41 in June and has already been out of action since mid-2021. Have to imagine this effectively ends his career. As another member of the MMA community pointed out, this isn't Harris's first offense, noting that Harris failed a drug test at UFC 232 as well. People not understanding this isn't a baseline suspension. Harris is just a repeat offender. Another fan took a strong stance against Harris for his repeat offenses, writing, "Repeat offenders should be banned for life." One member of the MMA community took a lighthearted approach, writing, "So his career is over. Look, if you're juiced and you still suck, you should be given an exemption." Harris's latest testing failure comes on the heels of a July fight cancellation, which was the result of a failed test he alleged to be from a tainted supplement. Top comments: "That wasn't Matt McCusker, that was Mark Norman. I really like that MVP shuts down talks of the Wonderboy fight. I think we all have an idea of what will probably happen, and I think no one, including MVP, wants to see that. Settlement equals we do whatever we want. UFC, huge failure by those involved in handling the lawsuit. They gave up and took the short-term cash out. A settlement should have never been an option. It defeats the entire purpose of the antitrust lawsuit and puts all fighters in a worse position than before. Shame on all those involved in making that decision. Each of those fighters got like $225K for the lawsuit. LOL, that's before lawyer fees." Make sure to leave a comment and you might get featured in our next video. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed, make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications to never miss any MMA news. Check out our video from yesterday if you missed it. See you tomorrow.